The skies above Zythera shimmered like liquid silver. Massive floating cities drifted among clouds tinged with violet and gold. The people of Zythera, known for their grace and intelligence, moved with a rhythm that seemed in tune with the very heartbeat of their planet. Their culture was refined, complex, and steeped in tradition. Yet, beyond the floating palaces, danger often lurked in the shadows of the cosmos. Commander Elias Harper had never expected to arrive at such a world. A human explorer from Earth, he had spent years traveling the stars in a small but sturdy vessel, seeking knowledge, discoveries, and sometimes, adventure. Zythera had been a waypoint, a curious planet with a civilization almost entirely alien to him. Its cities floated gracefully above the surface, and the people's movements had a rhythm that reminded him of water flowing in a stream. Elias's visit had been peaceful until the attack. It came suddenly, without warning. A rogue faction of alien marauders, armed with weapons that pulsed with strange energy, descended on the capital city. Buildings of crystalline glass shattered like ice under the assault, and citizens ran in every direction, trying to escape the chaos. Queen Lyria, ruler of Zythera, had been walking in the central gardens of her palace, enjoying the morning light and the scent of floating flora. When the attack began, her guards fought valiantly, but they were vastly outnumbered. Lyria's elegance and composure had always been a symbol of her people's strength. Yet now, she found herself cornered on a narrow bridge that spanned a crystalline lake high above the city. The marauders' weapons hummed with deadly energy, and for the first time in her life, she feared for her life. It was then that Elias appeared. He had been surveying the city from his small craft, noting the unusual energy signatures of Zythera's technology. When the attack began, his curiosity turned into immediate action. Without hesitation, he landed his ship and rushed toward the palace. His human instincts, honed by years of training and exploration, guided him as he navigated the chaos. The first marauder he encountered underestimated him. Elias moved with precision, using both his combat skills and quick thinking. In moments, he neutralized the threat and moved toward the queen. He found Lyria on the bridge, her guards fallen or incapacitated. A larger, armored alien advanced on her with a weapon raised. Elias didn't pause. He threw himself between the queen and danger, engaging the alien in a struggle that tested every ounce of his strength. In the end, he emerged victorious. The alien lay defeated, and Lyria was safe. She looked at Elias with a mixture of awe and disbelief. Her heart, which had felt fear moments before, now swelled with gratitude. She had seen bravery before, but nothing like this. A human so small compared to her own people's standards of warriors had risked his life to save hers. "Who are you?" Lyria asked, her voice trembling slightly, though her composure returned quickly. "Commander Elias Harper," he replied simply. "I couldn't let you be harmed." Lyria studied him. His face was earnest, his eyes steady despite the chaos. She sensed a kind of honor she had rarely witnessed outside her people. But she also knew that his actions had bound him to her in a way that Zytheran tradition could not ignore. In her culture, saving a life, especially that of a ruler, was not merely an act of heroism, it was a binding of fate. A life debt was created, one that could be repaid only through extraordinary means. And in her society, the highest form of repayment was sometimes the offering of family and marriage to the Savior. The thought troubled her deeply. She had 3 daughters, each brilliant, each unique, and each capable of shaping the future of their world. To offer them in marriage to a human, even one as honorable as Elias, was unthinkable by human standards. Yet to refuse could be seen as dishonoring the debt itself, which would bring shame not only to her, but to the entire royal family. "Commander Harper," Lyria said after a long pause, "your actions have saved my life, and perhaps the lives of many others. For this, you have earned a debt, one that my people's traditions require me to honor. Elias nodded slowly. I don't fully understand your customs, Your Majesty, but I am grateful to help. I didn't act for reward. Lyria smiled faintly, but there was tension in her eyes. I know. And that is why this is complicated. In my culture, the debt must be repaid in a formal manner. It is a debt of honor. Elias's brow furrowed. And how is it usually repaid? Lyria took a deep breath, the weight of centuries of tradition pressing on her shoulders. Through marriage. To one of my daughters. To offer them is the way my people honor a life saved. The words struck Elias like a thunderbolt. He had faced countless dangers across the galaxy, but the idea of accepting a life debt in this way was unprecedented. Yet, he could see the sincerity in her eyes. She was not speaking lightly or frivolously. She was bound by the customs of her people, a responsibility far greater than any human law or expectation. I see, Elias said finally, choosing his words with care. I will consider this, but I will not make a decision in haste. Your daughters are not pawns. They deserve choice. Lyria's gaze softened. That is wise. You are not like other visitors. That is why my people will respect your judgment. The palace, though partially damaged, was still a sanctuary. Elias stayed under the Queen's protection, allowing him to learn more about Zythera and its people. During this time, he met her daughters, each one different from the other. The eldest, Solara, was tall and calm, with eyes that reflected intelligence and wisdom beyond her years. She studied Elias cautiously, aware that he represented a force outside their culture, yet impressed by his courage. The middle daughter, Vanya, was lively and curious, always moving, always questioning. She had a spark that reminded Elias of young explorers back on Earth, fearless and eager to understand the unknown. The youngest, Lyra, was quiet and observant. She seemed shy at first, but her eyes missed nothing. She watched both Elias and her sisters, as if trying to understand where the balance of honor, tradition, and personal choice lay. Elias spent days with them, learning about Zytheran science, their culture, and their abilities. He realized these daughters were not mere symbols. They were capable, intelligent, and strong. They could contribute to the planet's future in ways humans could hardly imagine. Yet, outside the palace, threats still loomed. The rogue faction that attacked the city was not defeated. They were regrouping, planning another strike. Their goal was not only conquest but the exploitation of Zytheran culture, using the debt as leverage against the Queen. Elias knew he had to protect the daughters and the Queen, not only from physical danger but from political chaos. He began coordinating defenses, training Zytheran forces in strategies that combined human ingenuity with Zytheran technology. His methods were unusual but effective, earning the trust of both the royal family and their warriors. As the days passed, the bond between Elias and the princesses grew. Solara admired his intellect and cautious bravery. Vanya was fascinated by his stories of distant worlds. Lyra, the quietest, gradually revealed her own courage in subtle ways, showing Elias that bravery came in many forms. One evening, as the sun dipped below Zythera's horizon, painting the floating city in hues of violet and gold, Queen Lyria approached Elias. You have earned respect far beyond my expectations, she said softly, but the matter of the debt remains. Soon, a ceremony will be prepared to honor it, as my people require. Elias nodded, a mixture of determination and caution in his gaze. I understand, but I will not force anyone. They must have choice. That is the only way to honor life, truly. Lyria studied him for a long moment, then nodded. You are wise, human. Perhaps wiser than any ruler I have known. But know this. Refusing a debt in our tradition is dangerous. It could spark unrest, even rebellion. We must tread carefully. The night settled over Zythera, peaceful for now, but heavy with anticipation. Elias knew that the coming days would test not only his courage but his understanding of honor, loyalty, and the value of life across worlds. He had saved a queen, but he was about to enter a realm where human judgment would collide with alien tradition, and where the fate of 3 extraordinary daughters would hang in the balance. As he looked out over the floating city, Elias realized that the adventure had only just begun. The morning sun spread its golden light across the floating city of Sci-Fi, reflecting off the crystalline towers and the shimmering surface of the lakes that hovered above the planet. The attack from days before still haunted the city's citizens, but life began to return to its rhythm. Citizens rebuilt homes, repaired broken infrastructure, and resumed their daily routines. Yet, tension remained, rumors of another assault circulated, and the Queen's debt to Commander Elias Harper weighed heavily on the palace. Elias rose early, as he had every day since arriving. His mind was restless, filled with questions about Zetheran culture, their technology, and the delicate balance of honor that governed the royal family. He had spent hours studying the floating city's defenses, offering strategies drawn from human experience. The Queen had allowed him access to her military advisors, understanding that his insights could help protect her people from future attacks. But beyond the walls of planning rooms and training grounds, Elias found himself drawn to the daughters. Each had a presence that was impossible to ignore. Solara's calm intellect reminded him of the best leaders he had read about in history. Vanya's curiosity challenged him, forcing him to see the world in ways he had never considered. And Lyra, the youngest, with her quiet observation, held a depth of understanding that seemed to see the motives and fears of everyone around her. It was in the library, a vast hall of floating books and glowing data orbs, that Elias first spent time with Solara. She approached him with a measured step, her hands folded, her eyes reflecting both curiosity and caution. "You study our technology with great intensity," Solara said. "Your understanding is unusual for an outsider." Elias smiled politely. "I study to understand. Your technology is advanced, but it works with principles I can grasp. I want to help, not interfere." Solara's gaze softened slightly. "Most visitors do not come with pure intent. They are often here to exploit our knowledge or our resources. You are different." Elias nodded, humbled by her perception. "I hope to earn your trust, not just the Queen's." Solara considered this, then guided him through sections of the library, explaining Zythera's philosophy of knowledge, how understanding and wisdom were not only for governance, but also for harmony with the planet itself. Elias listened, fascinated. He had seen advanced civilizations before, but none had woven morality, culture, and science together so seamlessly. Meanwhile, Vanya approached in her own way, bursting into the library with energy and curiosity that was impossible to contain. "Commander Harper," she exclaimed, almost tripping over her own feet. "I want to see your world. Can you teach me how your people travel through the stars?" Elias laughed softly. "I can teach you some basics, yes. But space travel is dangerous. You must be prepared for many challenges." Vanya's eyes sparkled. "Challenges make it fun. Don't worry, I can handle it. I want to learn everything." Through Vanya, Elias discovered that curiosity was not a mere trait, but a tool Zytherans used to expand knowledge and understanding. Her questions challenged him to think more deeply about his own culture, forcing him to explain human methods of problem-solving, exploration, and survival. He found himself admiring her fearlessness and her boundless enthusiasm for discovery. Lyra, the youngest, was more cautious. She preferred observing the interactions between Elias, Solara, and Vanya before joining. Her presence was subtle, yet it was impossible for Elias not to notice her. One afternoon, he found her quietly studying a holographic map of the floating city. "You have a good eye for detail," he remarked gently, approaching her. Lyra looked up, slightly startled, I notice patterns. It helps me understand things better. The city, it is alive, in its own way. You can see it, if you look carefully. Elias smiled, intrigued. Lyra's lips curved into a small smile. I hope it is useful. Over the next several days, Elias spent more time with the daughters, observing, learning, and guiding. It became clear that the daughters were not simply symbols of a debt, they were individuals with strengths, wisdom, and potential. He realized that honoring the debt required more than mere compliance with tradition. It demanded respect for the daughters' choices and futures. Yet the threats outside the palace continued to grow. Intelligence reports indicated that the rogue faction had allies scattered across the outskirts of Scythera. Their aim was to exploit the queen's debt to manipulate her daughters, turning them into political pawns. Elias knew that his protective duties were not only about defending lives but about safeguarding the dignity and freedom of the royal family. He began devising strategies that combined human combat experience with Scytheran technology. Using advanced energy shields, communication networks, and agile aerial units, he organized training exercises for the royal guards and the daughters. The exercises were intense, challenging, and sometimes dangerous. But they forged a bond of trust and camaraderie. Solara proved to be an exceptional strategist, absorbing tactics quickly and offering insights that surprised Elias. Vanya thrived in hands-on exercises, showing ingenuity and creativity that surpassed expectations. Lyra, though quiet, demonstrated precision, patience, and an uncanny ability to anticipate enemy moves. Through these exercises, Elias learned something profound. Strength came in many forms. Courage was not merely physical bravery but also intelligence, resilience, and the willingness to act in the face of uncertainty. The daughters embodied these qualities in unique ways, and he found himself respecting them as allies, not as symbols of a debt. One evening, after a particularly grueling training session, Elias found himself walking along the floating bridges with Solara. The sky glowed with the colors of a Scytheran sunset, and the air was filled with the gentle hum of floating structures. "You have changed much in a few days," Solara said softly. Elias glanced at her. "I only hope I can continue to earn that respect. I want to protect, not just influence. I do not seek power here." "Elias," Solara nodded, considering his words. "Many humans come with intent to dominate or exploit. You are different. That difference is noticeable, even inspiring." Meanwhile, Vanya and Lyra were busy in another part of the palace, experimenting with communication devices that Elias had explained. Vanya's enthusiasm pushed Lyra to speak more freely. And soon, they were laughing, sharing stories, and even debating minor tactical choices. Elias observed them from a distance, realizing that building trust and understanding required patience, empathy, and respect. But peace was fragile. One morning, an alarm rang through the palace. Sensors had detected a movement at the city's perimeter. A small fleet of ships from the rogue faction had approached undetected, attempting a surprise attack. Elias acted immediately, coordinating the defenses and instructing the daughters to stay safe while he led the guards to intercept. The battle was swift and intense. Elias's strategies, combined with Scytheran technology, allowed them to repel the attackers without significant damage to the city. Solara, Vanya, and Lyra watched from a secure observation deck, their expressions a mixture of awe and concern. Afterward, the queen summoned Elias to the palace's council chamber. "Your actions saved lives again," she said, her voice measured but filled with gratitude. "You have proven your skill, your honor, and your value to our people. But the debt, it remains. The ceremonial preparations are beginning. Soon, the tradition will require that you make a decision." Elias nodded, aware of the weight of his choice. "I will decide with care, Your Majesty, but I will not force anyone." The daughter's choices must come first. The queen studied him carefully. I hoped you would say that. Respecting choice is as important to our culture as honoring life. Perhaps your humanity will guide us to a better understanding of tradition. Days passed, filled with preparation, study, and continued training. Elias and the daughters shared moments of laughter, learning, and quiet reflection. He saw not only their skill but also their compassion, curiosity, and courage. It became clear that whatever the ceremony required, it must be approached with sensitivity, understanding, and honor. One night, as the stars glimmered above the floating city, Elias stood with Lyra on a balcony overlooking the central lake. "Do you know what I admire most about your people?" he asked. Lyra looked at him curiously. What? What? Your sense of balance, he said. Honor, wisdom, courage, they are all intertwined. You do not separate one from another. That is something humans can learn from. Lyra's eyes sparkled faintly. Perhaps, but humans also have courage, even without balance. You showed that when you saved my mother. Elias smiled, humbled. Perhaps we have more in common than we realize. The night was quiet, but the tension remained. Outside the palace, threats still lingered, waiting for any sign of weakness. Elias knew that the coming days would test not only his courage but his ability to navigate the delicate balance between tradition, choice, and protection. As he looked at the sleeping city, he realized that understanding and connection were just as important as strength. The daughters were not prizes to be claimed, they were allies, friends, and individuals whose choices mattered. And in honoring them, he honored the very essence of humanity itself. Courage, compassion, and respect for life. The floating city glimmered under the twin moons, a reminder that even in a world far from Earth, humanity's presence could inspire, protect, and guide. Elias knew the story was far from over. The debt, the ceremony, and the choices ahead would challenge every part of him. But with understanding, connection, and respect, he believed that honor could be preserved, and that humanity could shine brightly, even on the farthest edge of the stars. The city of Scifi had recovered from the last attack, but the air was heavy with anticipation. Citizens moved through the floating streets with cautious optimism, repairing damage while remaining alert to any new threats. Commander Elias Harper stood atop one of the palace's observation towers, surveying the horizon. He had grown accustomed to the planet's beauty, the floating lakes that reflected violet skies, the crystalline towers that shimmered in sunlight, and the quiet hum of energy that pulsed through the city. Yet beneath the beauty, he knew danger still lingered. Queen Lyria approached, her steps steady, her expression thoughtful. "The time is near, Elias," she said. "The ceremony honoring the debt must begin soon. The people expect it. Tradition demands it." Elias nodded. "I understand. But I will ensure the daughter's choices are respected. That is the only way to truly honor the life debt. That, Essa. Reezer. That's not Ma. Reezer. The queen studied him for a long moment. "You are unlike any human I have known. Your sense of honor is remarkable. Perhaps that is why I trust you to navigate this delicate matter." The three daughters had been preparing in private chambers, each reflecting on what the future might hold. Solara had spent hours contemplating her responsibilities, her mind torn between duty and personal desire. Vanya, restless as always, practiced maneuvers with the palace guards, testing her strength and skill. Lyra remained quiet, meditating on patterns, probabilities, and the consequences of each choice. Elias visited each of them. He spoke with Solara about leadership and strategy, encouraging her to think beyond tradition while respecting it. With Vanya, he shared stories of human exploration, highlighting courage and curiosity. And with Lyra, he discussed observation, patience, and foresight, reinforcing the importance of making decisions that honored both herself and her people. Even as they bonded, the threat of the rogue faction loomed. Intelligence reports indicated a coordinated strike was imminent. They aimed to exploit the ceremonial proceedings to destabilize Zythera's leadership and capture the royal daughters. Elias knew that protecting them required not only strategy, but also ingenuity. Combining human tactics with Zytheran technology in ways never attempted before. The day of the ceremony arrived. Citizens gathered across the floating city, the air electric with anticipation. Elias and the daughters stood in the palace's central courtyard, beneath a dome of shimmering energy that refracted sunlight into dazzling patterns. The queen presided over the event, her presence a symbol of authority and grace. Elias noticed subtle movements at the edges of the city. Ships approaching silently, cloaked in Zytheran stealth technology, but visible to trained human eyes. The rogue faction had arrived, intending to strike during the ceremony. Elias acted swiftly, signaling the palace guards and preparing defensive measures without alarming the citizens. The first wave of attackers descended from the skies. Energy beams collided with shields, sending sparks scattering. Elias led a small team to intercept the threat, moving with a combination of human agility and tactical precision. Solara, Vanya, and Lyra watched from a secure platform, their expressions tense but resolute. The battle was fierce. Aliens attempted to breach the palace defenses, but Elias's strategies proved effective. He anticipated their moves, directing Zytheran units to counter with maximum efficiency. Solara's insights allowed the defenders to anticipate the attackers' formation, while Vanya's quick thinking neutralized several energy disruptors. Lyra, analyzing the battlefield, provided critical predictions that enabled counterattacks at key moments. Through their combined efforts, the rogue faction was repelled. The citizens cheered, but Elias knew the battle had more significance than mere defense. It was a demonstration of trust, cooperation, and mutual respect between humans and Zytherans. The daughters had shown courage and competence, proving they were not passive participants in tradition but active defenders of their people. After the battle, Queen Lyria approached Elias. Her expression was a mixture of pride and relief. "You have protected my daughters and my city. You have honored the debt in a way I could not have imagined." Elias bowed slightly. "I have only acted to protect life, Your Majesty. That is all a human can do." The queen turned to her daughters. "The debt is honored, but choice remains. You may decide your own paths. Tradition allows flexibility when honor is preserved and life is respected." Solara stepped forward first. "I choose to remain on Zythera, guiding our people through rebuilding and diplomacy. I will honor our traditions in my own way." Vanya smiled brightly. "I wish to explore the stars, to learn about other worlds alongside Commander Harper. That is my choice." Lyra, quiet but confident, nodded. "I will continue to observe, to understand patterns, and to help guide our people. I choose to serve Zythera in my own way, but I wish to maintain connection with Commander Harper's knowledge and experience." The queen smiled, proud of her daughter's choices. "You have all acted with wisdom, courage, and clarity. The debt is fulfilled, and honor remains intact." Elias, observing their decisions, felt a profound sense of respect and gratitude. He had entered their world as a stranger, bound by the obligation of a life debt. Yet through understanding, connection, and mutual respect, he had helped the daughters claim agency over their own destinies. In the following days, human and Zytheran collaboration flourished. Elias worked alongside the daughters to strengthen city defenses, explore new technologies, and establish interstellar communication networks. Vanya prepared for space exploration, training alongside Elias, eager to learn and discover. Solara led diplomatic efforts, applying lessons learned from human strategy and Zytheran wisdom. Lyra focused on observation and planning, bridging human foresight with Zytheran analytics. The rogue faction, though still present in distant regions, had been deterred by the combined strength and ingenuity of humans and Zytherans. Their attempts at manipulation had failed, proving that honor, courage, and collaboration could overcome threats far greater than raw force. One evening, Elias stood on a balcony overlooking the floating city with Vanya, who had grown confident in both skill and knowledge. "The stars are waiting," he said. Vanya's eyes sparkled. "Then let's go. There is so much to learn, and I am ready." Solara joined them briefly, placing a hand on Elias's shoulder. "Take care of her," she said, gently. "She is brave, but the universe is vast. Remember that humanity and Zythera together can achieve more than either alone." Lyra appeared silently, standing beside them. "I will continue to observe. I will ensure that wisdom guides both our people and your actions. Trust will keep our worlds aligned." 2. Elias nodded, feeling the weight and joy of responsibility. The daughters had grown into strong, independent individuals, each capable of shaping the future. Through trust, respect, and collaboration, they had created a partnership that transcended tradition and culture. The ceremony, once feared as a tool of manipulation, had become a celebration of choice, courage, and honor. Humanity's presence on Zythera was no longer defined by debt alone, but by the positive influence, protection, and understanding Elias had offered. As the city settled into peace, the floating towers reflecting the twin moons above, Elias looked out into the stars. Humanity had faced countless challenges across the galaxy. But here, on a distant alien world, he saw its potential to inspire, protect, and build bridges between civilizations. The daughters, each following their chosen path, represented the best of Zythera and the possibilities of collaboration with humans. The Queen's life had been saved, the debt honored, and the people's faith strengthened. And through it all, humanity's courage, wisdom, and honor had shone brightly, leaving a legacy that would endure for generations. Elias knew that this was only the beginning. Zythera was a world full of mysteries, challenges, and opportunities. With the daughters as allies, friends, and partners, he looked forward to the future, one where humans and Zytherans could explore, defend, and grow together. And so, under the glowing skies of Zythera, the human who had saved a queen and honored a debt became a symbol of hope, courage, and the extraordinary potential of humanity in the stars. The city of Zythera floated gracefully above the planet's violet clouds, its towers gleaming like crystal in the sunlight. Life in the palace and across the city had returned to a semblance of normalcy, though vigilance remained. The rogue faction had not disappeared entirely, retreating to distant sectors, but their presence reminded everyone that danger was never far away. Commander Elias Harper had become more than a visitor. He was now a trusted advisor, teacher, and ally. His presence had inspired not only the Queen but her daughters and the city's defenders. Humans had proven that courage, ingenuity, and honor could bridge worlds, and Zytherans had begun to see them as true partners rather than outsiders. Elias spent his mornings training Vanya for long-range space exploration. She had shown exceptional aptitude for piloting and navigation, and her curiosity was insatiable. Together, they navigated simulations, studying alien star maps, and discussing interstellar travel strategies. Vanya's enthusiasm was contagious, and even seasoned Zytheran officers often found themselves laughing at her relentless questions. Solara, the eldest, had taken a more diplomatic role. She met daily with planetary leaders, human and Zytheran alike, coordinating trade agreements, defense strategies, and technological exchanges. Elias worked alongside her, offering perspectives from human history and tactical approaches. Their discussions were intense, but always respectful, highlighting a new era of collaboration between the two species. Lyra, the youngest, continued her studies in observation and analysis. Her quiet intelligence had become invaluable. She assisted in monitoring energy signatures across the planet, predicting potential threats, and advising both the Queen and Elias. The younger princess often reminded them that strength could come from patience and insight just as much as action. One morning, the tranquility of the palace was broken by an urgent alert. Unidentified ships had appeared near Zythera's outer sectors. They were unlike anything Elias had seen before. Sleek, dark, and silent. These ships moved with precision, as if coordinated by a single intelligence. Sensors indicated advanced cloaking technology, making them difficult to track. Elias gathered the daughters and the Queen in the council chamber. "This is not the same rogue faction we faced before," he explained. "These ships are faster, more advanced, and highly organized. If they attack, our city could face serious damage." Queen Lyria's brow furrowed. "Who are they, and what do they want?" "We don't know yet," Elias admitted. "But we need to prepare. Defense alone won't be enough. We need strategy, intelligence, and collaboration." Solara spoke first. "Then, we must unite Zytheran forces with human technology. Our people respect tradition, but they also respond to results. If we show them a path that protects our city and our culture, we can rally everyone together." Vanya, bouncing on her heels, added, "And maybe we can explore what these ships want before they even attack. I can help with reconnaissance." Lyra's calm voice cut through the excitement. "Reconnaissance must be precise. Missteps could reveal our position. Strategy and timing are critical. Missteps consider. Graces not have run." Elias smiled at the balance among them. "Exactly. Each of you has a unique strength. Together, we can anticipate their moves and protect the city." The first days were tense. Elias worked alongside Zytheran engineers, integrating human sensor technology into the city's defense network. Solara coordinated communications between planetary leaders, ensuring everyone was prepared to respond. Vanya and Elias piloted small reconnaissance crafts, carefully observing the unknown fleet while avoiding detection. Lyra analyzed patterns in the fleet's movements, providing predictions that allowed the team to plan countermeasures. During one evening patrol, Vanya asked Elias, "Do you think they will attack soon?" Elias looked out over the stars. "It's possible. But I also think they are testing us, probing for weaknesses. That's why we need patience. We must act only when we have certainty." Vanya nodded, absorbing the lesson. Patience is hard when adventure calls. Solara joined them at the observation deck. Patience is also strength. Knowing when to act is as important as knowing how. Lyra, standing quietly, added, "And understanding patterns gives us foresight. We can anticipate without rushing. That is how we survive." Days turned into nights, and the fleet remained just out of reach, their purpose unclear. Then, one evening, Lyra noticed an anomaly in their movements, a subtle pattern in their approach vectors. She brought it to Elias immediately. "These ships are not random," she explained. "They are coordinating based on our sensor emissions. If we can disguise our signals, we can lure them into a predictable path." Elias considered this. "Then we turn the hunter into the hunted. We'll use their own patterns against them." The next phase of preparation involved more than strategy. Elias trained the palace's elite defenders, combining human combat methods with Zytheran energy technology. The daughters participated actively. Solara directed tactical placements. Vanya tested defensive drones in simulations, and Lyra monitored real-time data to adjust plans. Finally, the fleet made its move. Ships descended in formation, cloaking technology barely masking their presence. Elias and the daughters coordinated defenses, guiding energy shields, drone units, and mobile defense squads. The city shimmered as beams and pulses collided with the attackers' weapons, casting brilliant light across the floating towers. Vanya, piloting a reconnaissance craft, spotted the lead ship. Elias, I see their command vessel. If we can disrupt it, the others will falter. Elias nodded. Good work. Solara, coordinate defensive units to focus on shielding the city. Lyra, monitor energy flows and predict their next moves. Solara's command was precise. Drones shifted positions. Energy barriers adjusted dynamically, and defensive formations held firm. Lyra's predictions allowed the team to anticipate attacks, countering them with minimal damage. Elias piloted a small strike craft directly toward the command vessel. Using human ingenuity, he maneuvered through energy pulses, finding a weakness in the ship's shields. With a precise strike, he disabled the vessel's communication core, causing confusion across the fleet. The remaining ships faltered, their formation disrupted, and the city's defenders seized the advantage, forcing them to retreat. The victory was decisive but measured. Elias had proven that humanity's courage, ingenuity, and collaboration could triumph over a technologically superior enemy. The daughters had demonstrated their own growth. Solara's strategic mind, Vanya's bravery, and Lyra's foresight had been crucial to the outcome. After the battle, the queen called a council. You have protected our city again, she said, her voice proud and solemn. But more importantly, you have strengthened our people. The bonds between humans and Zytherans are no longer theoretical. They are proven in action. Elias bowed. We have acted together. Your Majesty. That is what matters. Not humans alone, not Zytherans alone, but collaboration and trust. Solara spoke next. This experience has taught our people that strength comes in many forms, not only from tradition or technology, but from courage, wisdom, and unity. Vanya grinned. And curiosity. You can't forget curiosity. That's what keeps us exploring. Lyra, calm and steady, added, and foresight. Understanding patterns and predicting threats ensures that knowledge guides action. The queen smiled at her daughters. You have all learned well, and humanity has proven that courage and honor are not limited to one world. Together, we are stronger than any threat that may come. In the following weeks, Elias continued to train with Vanya for space missions, planning exploratory journeys that would expand Zythera's knowledge of the galaxy. Solara coordinated new alliances with nearby planets, creating a network of cooperation that combined human ingenuity with Zytheran wisdom. Lyra oversaw defense systems, ensuring that patterns, predictions, and intelligence were integrated into city planning. The rogue faction, though still at large, had been deterred. They had underestimated the resilience, intelligence, and collaboration between humans and Zytherans. The city remained a symbol of strength, honor, and the extraordinary potential of interstellar cooperation. One evening, Elias stood on the palace balcony, gazing at the horizon. Vanya joined him, excitement in her eyes. The stars are waiting for us, she said. Elias nodded. Yes, and with your courage, Solara's wisdom, and Lyra's insight, we will explore them safely and wisely. Humanity and Zythera, together, can face anything. Solara and Lyra soon joined them, completing the circle. The galaxy is vast, Solara said, but we have shown that trust and honor can guide us through any challenge. Lyra added quietly, and knowledge, foresight, and courage will ensure that our people thrive. Elias smiled at them all. Then let us continue. There is much to learn, many worlds to explore, and countless opportunities to protect and inspire. The floating city of Scythera shimmered beneath the twin moons, a testament to resilience, courage, and collaboration. Humanity had arrived not as conquerors, but as allies and protectors, earning trust through action, honor, and empathy. And so, the story continued, with humans and Zetherans united in exploration, defense, and the pursuit of knowledge, a partnership that promised hope, strength, and adventure for generations to come.